Title for Horror Stories of Buses on the Road. Once upon a time, there were terrifying and spine-chilling stories that took place on buses traveling on the road. These stories will send shivers down your spine and make you question the safety of bus journeys. Join me as we delve into these bone-chilling tales that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Story 1. The Haunting Recording. It was a dark and eerie night when Carla, a passenger on a bus traveling through the mountains of Mexico, experienced a horrifying ordeal. The bus was almost full, and everyone was settling in for the journey. As the clock struck 9 p.m., the driver finished playing a movie and switched off the televisions, replacing them with music. This was a common practice on buses during that time. At around 11 p.m., while the bus was ascending the mountains, a loud and disturbing noise came through the speakers. It sounded like interference, but it was so intense that it startled many passengers, including Carla's 4-year-old son. Suddenly, a woman's voice filled the bus, screaming for help. Her desperate cries were followed by incomprehensible words filled with fear and despair. It was as if they were in a horror movie. The passengers realized that something sinister was happening. The woman mentioned her location, a specific kilometer in the mountains, and revealed that she had been attacked by an armed group while traveling in her trailer. The bus driver tried to lower the volume to shield the passengers from the terrifying sounds, but he couldn't. The woman's screams and cries continued, ending with a chilling warning, "Do not pass through here." After the recording ended, the music resumed as if nothing had happened. The passengers were terrified and alarmed, even though they knew they wouldn't be passing through that area. Carla, especially, was frightened as she had her young son with her. It was a struggle to calm him down after such a traumatic experience. The bus driver reassured everyone that everything was fine and that nothing would happen. However, the fear lingered. A few minutes later, they arrived at a bus station where some passengers would disembark or board another bus. Carla decided to stay on the bus and approach the driver to express her concerns. She wanted to know the truth and find solace for her son's sake. The driver, understanding her fear, confided in her. He revealed that this wasn't the first time such an incident had occurred. Other drivers had experienced similar encounters in the same area in previous weeks or months. According to the driver, a female truck driver had been intercepted by a criminal gang in that exact kilometer a few years ago. They mistook her for their enemy and made her disappear, leaving only her trailer behind. No one ever heard from her again. Strange incidents, like the one Carla and the other passengers had just witnessed, had been happening on buses and trucks passing through that area. The radio would suddenly emit interference, and eerie sounds would fill the air. The driver believed that it was the spirit of the woman, warning others about the danger that awaited them. Carla felt a mix of sadness and fear upon hearing this story. The thought of someone losing their life in such a cruel manner was heartbreaking. The bus continued its journey through the dark and desolate mountains, and Carla couldn't shake off the chilling screams she had heard. It was a traumatic experience that she would never wish upon anyone. Story 2. The Ghostly Hitchhiker. My name is Rene Lopez, and I have been working as a bus driver for a transportation company for many years. People often ask me if I have encountered anything paranormal during my late-night journeys, and the answer is yes. Traveling through the night, especially in Mexican territory, exposes you to many strange and eerie experiences. One particular incident stands out in my memory. One day, I received instructions from my superior to drive a group of students on a school trip from Mexico City to Veracruz. The journey was expected to take around 9 hours, and I was chosen as the driver. I arrived at the school early, as the students were scheduled to board at 7 p.m. While waiting, I completed the necessary paperwork and formalities, knowing the responsibility of transporting minors without their parents was significant. When I finished, I headed towards the bus to start the engine and let the air conditioning cool the interior. To my surprise, I noticed a girl sitting by the window. It was strange because I was certain that I had locked the bus, and the heat inside indicated that the air conditioning was off. I opened the door and politely asked the girl to step out, explaining that she should wait with her classmates until it was time to board. However, she remained silent and didn't respond. I had no choice but to inform one of the teachers about the situation. The teacher, visibly annoyed, went to remove the girl from the bus. However, when they both returned, the girl was nowhere to be found. We searched the bus, including the restroom, but she had vanished. We assumed she had quickly disembarked when she saw the teacher approaching, fearing she would be scolded. With no other options, we continued with the boarding process. The students eagerly entered the bus, and we set off on our journey, which began after 8 p.m. As we traveled on the dark and desolate road, the students gradually fell asleep, as did the teachers. I listened to the radio while driving, trying to stay alert. Suddenly, a commotion erupted from the back of the bus. Two girls had come forward, visibly upset and angry. They claimed that someone had repeatedly taken their blankets while they were sleeping, pulling them to the floor. They couldn't identify the culprit as they had woken up too late, and all their classmates were still asleep. One of the teachers investigated the situation but found no one responsible. The girls requested a seat change, but there were no available seats except for one in the middle of the bus, next to the window. Reluctantly, they returned to their original seats. Midway through the journey, we stopped at a gas station with a restaurant and public restrooms. The teachers woke the students, offering them a chance to stretch their legs or use the restroom. Most of them disembarked, including myself, as I needed to use the facilities. When I returned to the bus, everyone was still at the gas station. They had been given 10 minutes, but only 5 had passed. As I approached the bus, I saw the same girl sitting in the vacant seat near the window. I could clearly see her, and I was shocked. I quickly boarded the bus to question her about how she had entered without anyone noticing or where she had been hiding. However, as I stepped onto the bus, she had vanished. I felt a sense of fear and confusion, witnessing something inexplicable. I decided not to mention it to the teachers, fearing they would think I was crazy. I only confirmed that I had seen her when one of the students shouted a derogatory comment about her before boarding the bus. The students laughed, assuming he was seeking attention. The teacher and I exchanged glances, knowing that we believed the boy had indeed seen her. From that point on, we never saw her again, and the rest of the journey was uneventful. The teacher remained vigilant throughout the night, clutching her rosary and praying for the girl's eternal rest. Perhaps her prayers had an effect, as nothing paranormal occurred during the remainder of the trip. Story 3: The Mysterious Disappearance. My name is Jose Luis, and I want to share a haunting experience that occurred during my early years as a bus driver. It was the early 2000s, and I was traveling from Guerrero to Mexico City on a bus. We departed around 9 p.m., and although the bus wasn't full, there were a considerable number of passengers. I chose a seat near the front, next to the window, and settled in for the journey. As we ventured further into the night, the bus suddenly started to sway violently. I woke up abruptly, as did many other passengers, startled by the unexpected movement. The driver managed to bring the bus to a halt, preventing a potential disaster. We found ourselves on the side of the road, dangerously close to a nearby exit. The driver assured us that everything was fine, but he wasn't sure what had caused the bus to lose control momentarily. It seemed that one of the tires had burst, leading to the temporary loss of control. He decided to seek help and stepped out of the bus to inspect the damage. We remained seated, feeling frustrated as we realized that our journey would be delayed. I gazed out of the window on the right side of the bus and noticed movement in the distance. As we approached, I could make out figures emerging from the bushes. It appeared to be people, waving their arms as if seeking assistance. My fellow passengers and I watched in curiosity and concern. However, the driver advised us to ignore them and continue driving. I questioned his decision, as I believed they might be individuals in need of help. He responded with a chilling statement: those figures were not living beings. He explained that the road we were on was notorious for being haunted by the spirits of those who had died in accidents. He had never encountered them before, as he had never traveled that road at night. The strangest part was that no matter how far we drove, the figures remained at the same distance from the bus. They seemed to be moving at the same speed as us, but they never got any closer. I wanted to leave that place immediately, but we still had over an hour to go before reaching our destination. I couldn't shake off the image of those ghostly figures, and the fear consumed me. Eventually, we were rescued by another bus, and the police arrived to search for the driver. They were armed and prepared for any situation. However, they couldn't find a trace of him. All they discovered was one of his shoes, which his wife confirmed belonged to him. It was a baffling and unsettling experience, leaving us with unanswered questions. I shared my account with an officer, but the look he gave me made it clear that he didn't believe my story. There was nothing more I could do, as it was difficult for anyone to comprehend such a bizarre occurrence. I learned a valuable lesson that night to avoid venturing into the unknown, especially when nature calls, as we never know what may lurk in the darkness. Story 4: The Vanishing Driver. My name is Oscar, and I want to share an unforgettable anecdote that took place in the early 2000s while I was traveling from Guerrero to Mexico City. It was around 9 p.m. when I boarded the bus, which was not crowded but had a significant number of passengers. I chose a seat near the front, eager to visit my parents after months of being apart. As we embarked on our journey, everything seemed calm and uneventful. However, as we traveled further into the night, the bus suddenly started to shake violently. I woke up abruptly, as did many other passengers, startled by the unexpected turbulence. The driver managed to regain control and brought the bus to a stop on the side of the road. We were dangerously close to a nearby exit, and it was a miracle that no one was hurt. The driver assured us that everything was under control, but he couldn't explain what had caused the sudden disturbance. It seemed as though one of the tires had burst, leading to the temporary loss of control. He decided to seek help and stepped out of the bus to inspect the damage. As we waited inside the bus, a sense of unease filled the air. Suddenly, a woman stood up and approached the front, questioning the driver about our detour. She was from Veracruz and frequently traveled from Mexico City to her hometown. She was well aware of the history surrounding the road we were on and the stories that circulated about it. With a trembling voice and a look of astonishment, she informed us that the figures we had seen waving for help were not living beings. They were the spirits of those who had lost their lives on that treacherous road. She blamed us, the passengers, for taking that route and warned us that if anything happened, it would be our fault. I felt a mixture of fear and guilt, realizing the gravity of the situation. We were stranded in a place where something inexplicable had occurred, and the driver had vanished without a trace. 2 hours passed before help arrived. We were transferred to another bus, and the police stayed behind to search for the missing driver. The atmosphere inside the bus was heavy with fear and uncertainty. We had no idea what had happened to him, and the thought of the supernatural lingered in our minds. The journey continued, and we finally arrived in Mexico City without any further incidents. However, the mystery surrounding the driver's disappearance remained unsolved. It was a haunting experience that left us questioning the unknown forces that lurk in the darkness. Conclusion. Story 5. The Cursed Bus Route. In the small town of San Miguel, there was a bus route known for its mysterious and chilling history. It was said that anyone who boarded the bus on Route 13 would experience unimaginable horrors. The stories passed down from generation to generation spoke of passengers disappearing, paranormal encounters, and even demonic possessions. Legend has it that one moonlit night, a group of friends decided to test the rumors surrounding Route 13. They boarded the bus to unravel the truth behind the tales. As the bus made its way through the desolate countryside, the thick fog enveloped the surroundings, making it impossible to see beyond a few feet. Suddenly, the bus came to an abrupt halt. The friends peered out of the foggy windows, only to find a lone figure standing in the middle of the road. Dressed in tattered clothes and with a haggard face, the figure beckoned them to follow. The friends, driven by curiosity and a desire for adventure, disembarked the bus and ventured into the unknown. As they followed the mysterious figure, they entered a dense forest that seemed to have a life of its own. Trees whispered eerie melodies, and shadows danced in the moonlight. The group felt a chilling presence and knew they had entered a realm beyond their comprehension. Within the heart of the forest, they stumbled upon an abandoned mansion, its crumbling facade concealing unspeakable horrors. The friends cautiously entered, guided by a sense of trepidation and a desire to uncover the truth. Each step they took echoed with the weight of their fears. Inside the mansion, they discovered a hidden room filled with ancient artifacts and occult symbols. It was a chamber of dark magic, where rituals were conducted and souls were trapped. The air grew heavy with malevolence, and the friends sensed an evil force closing in on them. Terrified, they tried to escape the mansion, but the doors and windows had mysteriously vanished, trapping them inside. Desperation consumed them as they realized they had fallen into a trap set by the spirits haunting Route 13. As the night wore on, their sanity began to crumble under the relentless torment. Whispers echoed through the halls, and apparitions appeared, tormenting them with their grotesque forms. The friends pleaded for mercy, their voices drowned by the malevolent laughter of the spirits. Days turned into weeks, and the friends became mere shells of their former selves. Their bodies weakened, their minds shattered. The dark magic of Route 13 consumed them, turning them into eternal prisoners, forever trapped in the mansion's unholy grip. To this day, the cursed bus route remains shrouded in mystery and fear. Locals avoid speaking of it, for even the faintest mention of Route 13 has been known to summon the vengeful spirits. It serves as a constant reminder that there are forces beyond our comprehension, lurking in the shadows, waiting to ensnare those foolish enough to challenge their power. Story 6. The Sinister Bus Driver. In the town of Pueblo Nuevo, there existed a tale of a bus driver who was rumored to be possessed by a malevolent spirit. This bus driver, known as Julio, had a sinister reputation that sent chills down the spines of the locals. Legend had it that Julio would pick up unsuspecting passengers on his route, only to take them on a terrifying journey through the darkest corners of their fears. Passengers would board his bus, oblivious to the horrors that awaited them. One fateful evening, a young woman named Sophia found herself in need of transportation after a late night shift. With no other options available, she reluctantly boarded Julio's bus. As she entered, she noticed the driver's cold, vacant eyes that seemed to hold a sinister presence. As the bus began to move, Sophia noticed a peculiar atmosphere. The windows fogged up and an icy chill filled the air, causing her to shiver involuntarily. The other passengers appeared oblivious to the eerie ambience, their eyes glazed over as if entranced. Suddenly, the bus deviated from its regular route, veering off into a dark, desolate road that seemed to lead nowhere. Sophia's heart raced with fear, realizing that something was terribly wrong. She mustered the courage to approach Julio and question their unexpected detour. To her horror, she discovered that Julio was no longer in control of the bus. His body was possessed by a malevolent spirit, which reveled in tormenting innocent souls. The possessed driver cackled with delight upon seeing Sophia's fear, relishing in the prospect of her impending suffering. As the journey continued, the bus became a nightmarish realm where the laws of reality were distorted. The walls twisted and contorted, revealing grotesque faces that whispered vile thoughts into the passengers' minds. Shadows danced and whispered secrets of forgotten nightmares, causing Sophia's sanity to fray at the edges. Time lost all meaning as the bus descended deeper into a realm of eternal darkness. Conclusion. In the town of Pueblo Nuevo, a cursed bus route known as Route 13 holds unspeakable horrors. Those who dare to venture on it risk encountering vengeful spirits, malevolent possessions, and eternal imprisonment. The sinister bus driver, Julio, is said to be a vessel for evil, tormenting unsuspecting passengers on a journey through their darkest fears. The tales of these haunted bus journeys serve as a chilling reminder of the unknown forces that lurk in the shadows, waiting to ensnare those who dare to challenge their power.